All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm here to talk to you about the Hip Hop Cafe. My name is R.B. Baker, but let me tell you what I mean by hip hop, because when I talk about hip hop, I'm talking about hip hop from 1973. I'm talking about a time when it was new, it was colorful, and it was talking about bringing communities up, not tearing them down. Now, when I was a kid, I used to get picked on a lot. And I got picked on because I was often dirty, I was poor, and I definitely was uncool. That was changed when hip hop came into my life. Because in '83, as a teenager, I went to the park to see this new thing going on, with people dancing, doing all these weird moves with their arms, and I would just sit back and look. This particular day, somebody walked up to me and challenged me. They basically came off the cardboard and wanted me to have a dance competition with them. Normally, I would stand back, hold my head down, and say, well, somebody's going to tease me, let me get away from this. But for this day, it was different, because the music just took over my system. That beat just kept pushing me, saying, go to the challenge, go to the challenge. And before I knew it, I was on that cardboard, spinning on my knees, spinning on my back, just making up stuff, having a great time. I didn't win that competition, but I got something better. I got the respect of the people there, and I was included. And this is what hip hop did to me. And this is why I want to push hip hop forward. Because for the rest of my life, hip hop has been a part of it. It has helped me do crazy things like join the Army right out of high school, jump out of a perfectly good airplane, continue my education. And it also helped me stand in front of you right now to talk about my dream, try to make it a reality. Now, why the Hip Hop Cafe? The one thing I notice about restaurants today, they're big, they're beautiful, there's a lot of food, but they have a lot in common. And what they have in common is a whole bunch of TVs, a lot of background noise, and a whole lot of alcohol. And this is not bad. It's great to go out and drink and watch TV, but what about the people that want to go out and have a good time without worrying about somebody getting drunk and acting a little bit too spirited? What about the families that want to go out and take their kids somewhere where they don't have to explain what those words were in the music? And that's where the Hip Hop Cafe came. Because the Hip Hop Cafe is going to provide that. Not only are we going to have an environment that's conducive to family fun, it's also going to educate. Now, our target audience is the individuals between 35 and 45, primarily because they probably grew up through that hip hop era where it was fun and inviting. You know, those 80s that everybody talks about, the neon colors. They probably remember that. But because hip hop has that gravitational pull, you will have young kids enjoying it as well as the young at heart. I don't like calling people old. We're not old, we're young at heart. So it's going to pull a lot of people because of the environment. The food's going to be a big pull, but it's the environment that's going to be a pull at the Hip Hop Cafe. Now, our competitive advantage, nobody's doing positive hip hop. When you talk about hip hop, most people think saggy pants, a whole bunch of shooting, some drugs and cursing. When they come to the Hip Hop Cafe, none of that will be there. Also, we won't have any alcohol. Now, this surprised a lot of people when I bring it up. How can you have a restaurant without alcohol? Simple, we just don't. And there's a lot of people that are okay with that. They like to have a sweet tea. They like to have a nice drink. And that is our niche group. Now, let me try to go to the right place. All right, revenue. Can't have a business without making money. And we're going to make money a couple ways. Number one is the food that we have. Anybody heard of Chef Judy? And I see people smiling that really know Chef Judy. She is the one that's going to provide the food for the restaurant. As a matter of fact, our location is going to be at her location over in Westwood Shopping Plaza. We'll be there in the evenings and she'll still have lunch there. Nobody does food like Chef Judy. The other thing we're going to do with revenue is actually merchandise. We're going to have cool little things that's going to remind you of how great hip hop really is. Now, we like to talk about money as far as the business becoming great, but part of that revenue is not just the money bringing in. Part of the revenue of the Hip Hop Cafe is the investment in the community, because this is going to be more than just a restaurant. It is going to be a place that kids and adults can come to have a safe, fun time, and actually show off what they have. And when I say show off what they have, the young inspiring singers, the dancers, the artists, this would be an environment where they can come and show off their talents. And the community can actually come together and lift each other instead of tearing each other down or have to pay a whole bunch of money to try to get themselves shown. Now, the challenges that we have with the Hip Hop Cafe is basically the media. What is hip hop? What is hip hop? Hip hop is not what you see on TV today. It is not the rappers. It is not the big cars. It is not all those negative things. And this is the challenge, because with the Hip Hop Cafe, we're basically going to reinvent and re-educate what hip hop really is. Did you know in '73 when hip hop started, it was actually started by a former gang member that was tired of seeing people getting killed in the street? So they created a party atmosphere where nobody can bring weapons, and the only thing you can do if you didn't like somebody is battle them in a dance. That's what true hip hop is. And this is what we're going to bring back with the Hip Hop Cafe. Current obstacles, of course, funding. Funding is an obstacle for all businesses, but it's not really an obstacle as much as it is an opportunity, because with this challenge of getting the funding, I get to get in front of people all the time and talk about what's good about hip hop, what's the positive effects of hip hop, how can hip hop help those communities. So I don't see it as much as a challenge as much as it is an obstacle that I can get over. Now, as far as the future of the Hip Hop Cafe, I'm thinking big. And I'm thinking big because that's what hip hop makes me do. We're going to get the Hip Hop Cafe into a business model that can be replicated, and we're going to franchise it. First, we're going to pick certain cities along the East Coast and the Midwest, and then we're going to push off to the West Coast and eventually become worldwide. Because when we talk about hip hop is bigger than America. Anytime I've been to Sarajevo, Iraq, Korea, they love hip hop. But they know hip hop a little different than we do. And that's what I'm going to bring back. Now, I have my information up here and where the restaurant's going to be. But before I leave you, I just want to leave you with a quote that was made by Grandmaster Cass. Now, he was one of the originators of hip hop back in the 70s. And he said, hip hop didn't invent anything, but hip hop reinvented everything. And that's what the Hip Hop Cafe is going to do. It's going to reinvent how you see hip hop. Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure I was under my 6 minutes. Do you have any questions? Yes.
I'm kind of confused a little bit.
Okay.
Kind of trying to figure out where you're at in the stage of your business. Is this you're at the ideal stage, or because I haven't seen? In other words, I see your cassette with hip hop. So when you tell me like a hip hop cafe, I like to see a picture of it. What's it going to look like? You know, put me in a cafe kind of.
Okay.
You know, actual picture. I'm trying to picture together this environment. So
yes, sir.
to speak.
And I'll paint that picture.
Yeah.
I can paint that picture for you. I don't have it on the slides, but first I would like to tackle where I'm at with my process. It's more than an idea. I actually beta tested it by doing a hip hop Halloween party at Chef Judy's restaurant. And that's actually, have you ever been to Chef Judy's restaurant over in Westwood Shopping Center? Well, that's actually where the Hip Hop Cafe is going to be at. We beta tested it just to see how the community will react to positive hip hop music and no alcohol. We had about 50 or 60 people that came here, and I did a survey. The people that filled out the survey said not only did they love their environment, but if we hosted another event, they would definitely come again. Now, let's talk about that picture of what the Hip Hop Cafe is going to look like on the inside, because I don't have it. When you walk into the Hip Hop Cafe, you're going to see things that's going to tell you what hip hop really is, and not just a whole bunch of graffiti. You're going to see things like an 808 box. What is that? You're going to see posters that talk about the 4 elements of hip hop, because hip hop does have a structure. Who is the DJ? What do they do? What is a b-boy or b-girl? What is MCing really? And what is real graffiti? I'm not talking about people that tag and write curse words on the walls. We're going to have that throughout the restaurant. Now, once we grow and have our own business, where we have our standalone Hip Hop Cafe, it's going to be a little bigger than that, because not only will we have these pictures that have throwback to when hip hop was positive and fun, but it's also going to have things that help those young artists move forward, like a stage, so they can come there and do their songs, or put on their plays, or be able to show their art. A recording booth. I know I throw a lot of people off when I say that, but we're going to have a recording booth because one of the things about music is that we have a lot of people that want to get their music out, but they don't have $1,000, $2,000 to go out to a studio. In the restaurant, they'll be able to actually track a song for $30. And we won't keep any of the stuff because, again, our focus is to bring them up, not try to take advantage of it. Thanks. Yes, sir.
How will you get paid for this, providing the service?
Okay, initially, I'm not going to make much off of it. I'm going to get a percentage of the food that's sold because most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by Chef Judy. I'm looking long range. When people get used to that food and they get used to that environment, what I'm creating, when we go off and make the standalone hip hop cafe, that's where I'll make my revenue. And I know we should be in business to make money, but I'm taking investment in this and standing back before I make the bulk of money to get the word out. I'm sorry.
I'm still confused. I'm trying to figure out if you're trying to make money off of the food or you're trying to make money off of this atmosphere.
I'm actually going to be making money off of both, sir. The food, because Chef Judy's food is delicious, I'm going to invest in part of that, make money off of that. The merchandise, selling the merchandise at a profit, and what we provide, like the recording booth. That's not going to be free, but it's going to be enough where I still make a profit off of it. I think I had a hand over here. I'll come back to you, sir.
I just wanted to have a comment. I think, in my mind, the closest corollary to this would be those 1950s, like diners, right? Something that's basically themed in a certain time with a certain atmosphere and a certain type of menu.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you.
And play Quincy Jones.
All right, we will have Quincy Jones. Let me come back to you because I saw his hand up and then I saw your hand up.
Well, I'm hearing food service and I'm hearing entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel your passion when you talk about the entertainment part, but then you weigh heavily on Chef Judy for the food.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I may say so, I think that the focus should be on an event more than a cafe specifically. I mean, it's great to start there because you can use Chef Judy's celebrity to bring in the crowds.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think you would get a lot more benefit by promoting the event and actually doing ticket sales on the event, so people are anticipating that more so than the food.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter where you go, people will you can create a following. And you can use, it sounds like you've already been in conversation and coordination with Chef Judy and she supports it. So allow her, since she already has a following, to go ahead and attract that attention until you can get it to a point where you want it to be. Because my fear is, and I don't know if you're aware, but most restaurants fail.
Yes.
And so and it sounds like you really don't have any interest in the restaurant industry so much. That's just how you plan on facilitating what you do have an interest in. So I wouldn't even put too much emphasis on the restaurant part of it and more on the entertainment.
Okay, if I could just try to clarify a little more,
Okay.
because I do have an interest in the restaurant.
Okay.
And the best way I can tie it off is kind of like what you said with the theme restaurants 50, the Hard Rock Cafe.
Gotcha.
Basically what I'm doing is a hip hop version of the Hard Rock Cafe. A lot of information, a lot of entertainment, but the food is key. Now with Chef Judy, it's actually a blessing for me that Chef Judy even signed off on this, because most of the heavy lifting is already being done. She has a celebrity status, she has the great food, and I want people to come in to eat and be in that environment. Now, as far as the events, I'm there with you. That's also going to be one of our revenue drivers. I didn't say that earlier, but we're actually going to rent out the place. Chef Judy actually rents out her restaurant now. We will have ticketed events where they come in for special things, but I really want to get to that restaurant because what I want to build is a franchise model. I don't want to have a following to come to my next event where we just have a good time. I actually want to have a standalone restaurant that certain days of the week you come over there with your family, have a good time, eat. We have the music, we have the aura of old school hip hop, but every once in a while we have something special like karaoke night or some kind of game challenge of the 80s. But that's really what my focus is, not to have this entertainment thing, because currently I have a mobile DJ business. And I do that, and it's fun to set up the parties, but I really want to go bigger than just a DJ event or just have a one-time hit with catering service. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Just wondering a couple things. Number one, you talked about franchising, which is what you want to do with this. So the concept, at least for me, would be, and I would want to know about sitting down with Chef Judy and putting together a list that you could franchise later on of the menu that's going to be very distinctive of Hip Hop Cafe, that's going to stick out to the other point that was brought up about so many restaurants failing. You really have to make sure that you've got maybe 10 menu items, let's say, that really stand out, really differentiate you from any other franchise out there, like the Hard Rock Cafe or any other restaurant that's out there. Then you're also going to need, and I don't know how much restaurant experience do you have?
Well,
food industry.
The only food industry experience I have is eating in restaurants. I do a lot of eating and looking around, but it's also been a lesson for me because I don't just go to restaurants to have the food. When I was in the Army, I was looking at getting into the Hooters franchise because in 2000, they didn't have Hooters over in Germany, and they were actually trying to push it out there. And this is kind of where the idea kind of hatched. That it's not so much about the food, but it's about the environment. And back to what you were saying with the actual menu, I've talked to Chef Judy on that, and that's why I said this is a blessing. She's already got that down packed. The thing that we're working on now, and I won't say we because Chef Judy is good to go. What I'm working on now is bringing in the audience to enjoy hip hop the way I want hip hop to be seen, not the way it's being displayed. That's really the challenge for me.
Do you have an agreement with Chef Judy? In other words, in writing a legal agreement? Because it sounds like it's going to be her menu that's driving your restaurant.
Yes.
Okay, so you already have that agreement.
Well, I don't have that in writing, but we do have an agreement. And I know when you talk about business, you need to cross T's, dot I's. But I've been shopping this idea and pitching it forever. And the fact that Chef Judy even allows me to come into a restaurant to try things out, I'm good with that. Now, when we go down the road and we've had that talk, we are going to actually finalize it. But right now, doing this beta testing, getting out there, having that experience, I can't ask for a better person that's given me this opportunity. Like I said, I did the beta test, and most people wouldn't even let me in the door, let alone come in.
And that's good, but get it in writing.
Yes, sir.
Because stuff happens.
Exactly.
And you don't want the stuff happening to you.
Yes. Thank you.
Has she at least verbally said that she would sell her recipes for franchising?
She has verbally said that she would partner with me in the franchise. I basically sat down with her and told her, let me just back up a little bit. I met Chef Judy while I was DJing, before she had the restaurant here, because she used to have the restaurant Spring Lake. And when she came to Fayetteville, I said, I'm on the road a lot, but I want to sit down and tell you about this great idea I have. And we actually sat down and I told her my passion about hip hop, where I was going, and the thing was, it merged with what she was doing with her restaurant. And like I said earlier, a lot of people were turned off with the fact that I didn't want to have alcohol, or I wanted to make it a family-friendly environment, because hip-hop today is not really hip-hop, it's just media-driven rap that says you have to have the liquor, you have to have what's hot on TV, you have to have scantily clad women, and that's not what I'm trying to push. She fell for what I was doing, and she agreed that she would go forward because she knows that I'm not just trying to have a one-hit wonder under her at the restaurant. I'm trying to build something big.
What is your target audience?
My target audience as far as the age is 35 to 45, but I'm looking for the young families with a median income from about 30,000 to 50,000.
How are you reaching them?
The way I'm going to reach them is several ways. Number one, I'm looking at radio. I tried doing the flyers, but when I did the hip hop Halloween party, I got a lot of response from the radio, and I also had a lot of help from Beasley Broadcasting System. The other way is going to be direct mailing. I'm going to mail out, do a mass mailing in the areas within the 5-mile radius of Westwood Shopping Center.
That's my point. Is if this is a, and you help me with this, but if this is more of an ethnic following.
It's,
5 miles of Westwood is not your target audience.
and I'm glad you said that, sir. The Hip Hop Cafe is not going to be an ethnic restaurant. It's going to be an inclusive restaurant.
Okay.
And I'm pulling this off, and you really helped me out with that. I'm pulling this off my experience as a DJ here in Fayetteville. There's been a lot of weddings and parties that I went to where I was the only one that looked like me. But as soon as I put on the Fat Boys, they would come up and say, "That's what I want to hear. Do you have Rapper's Delight?" And again, it just verified that hip hop is inclusive if you talk about what real hip hop is. So I'm not looking for this to be an ethnic restaurant. I'm looking for this to be a community restaurant that anybody can come into and have a good time. But thanks. Yes, I'm
Let
sorry.
me back up to that one. Working with the Rock Shop might also be a good idea for at
Okay.
least marketing through them, because that's where people go who love music.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different types of music. And people will find you. They might not find you to look for a restaurant. They might find you through the music connection.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was gonna kind of touch on too, is, my concern is that you're going a little too broad with the restaurant, because the overhead is gonna be so much with the different types of food, but if you think more in terms of, you know, like a Starbucks or an internet restaurant or something where you've got a few certain items that's consistent on your menu, just where, you know, because people are gonna be going there more for entertainment than they are for the food. You want the entertainment to be the draw, I would think, more than the food to be the draw. So you just want them to have something to snack on, a Coke to kick back with, some, you know, maybe a corn dog to snack on or something while they're there, and not let that draw be the food. But then you have to think about what is it that's going to bring in the money at that time, because you don't want to just crowd people in there watching entertainment. You've got to have something, you know, the merchandise or something to profit from. So I'm just thinking that the food thing is going to be a little broad when you think of the revenue, because that's going to eat up your revenue, and then you've got the health concerns, you know, with getting everything certified and the inspectors and things coming in. But I'm just concerned that maybe you would want to narrow it a little more than the broad idea.
Okay, thanks. I'll take 2 more and then it's almost time for me to wrap it up. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, you brought together a unique connection. When you're going into partnership, you don't have to worry about the restaurant because you got expertise over there. You have to focus on your end. And so that's an expert marriage partnership in propelling your concept idea, a new idea.
Absolutely, thank you.
There's and one way you can help market it too, I think, is Fourth Fridays. There's a group of guys and gals down there that have a little cardboard spread out, and they're all the time down, and they're awesome. So when you know, Fourth Fridays, go down there and pass out your flyers for the Hip Hop Cafe, and I think that would be great. And once you get it open, let me know. I'm not going to get on the cardboard for my 5-year-old son.
All right. That's a deal.
That I pay to see.
All right, that's a deal right there.
Mr.
And then that's the absolute last one, sir. Yes.
The cassette, what is that? Is that the cassette with Hip Hop Cafe? Is that your actual brand? Is that what's the meaning of the cassette?
Well, the meaning of the cassette is when we talk about hip hop from the generation I'm talking about, this was the form of passing everything. From buying them to sitting at the radio with your hand on pause and play to record that song that you wanted. So hip hop is really synonymous with the tape, and I just thought it'd be nice to put my label on something that everybody knows with hip hop, which is that cassette.
Well, Mr. Baker, you brought back some memories.
All right, we're not gonna start pop locking.
Last question: what can the community do for you?
Awesome question to end this with. The best thing you can do for me and my dream become reality is come to Chef Judy's Let Me Cater to You. Come there and enjoy the food. And if you enjoyed it before, enjoy it again. But look around and check out the place. Go upstairs and look at the rooms, because those are going to be the part of what makes the Hip Hop Cafe, because that's where we're going to start at. And ask questions. Chef Judy knows my vision, and when I'm there, I will talk on and on forever mostly because I was recruited in the Army. But I will tell you everything you want to know about my vision of the Hip Hop Cafe.
When do you open?
Say again?
When do you open?
Oh, another great one. I'm actually looking to open between February and April of next year. And we're going to start it with a couple of nights a week, having karaoke and food service. And once we start building and the word gets out there, we extend those days.
Attend at the Dogwood Festival would be great too.
Yes. A lot of vision.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.